But obviously Boris Johnson yesterday held a press conference, as we've seen that the places in the north, Manchester, have gone into a regional lockdown because of case numbers going up and the R rate being above 1. And then they've introduced now that they've extended the masks to all indoor settings. Apparently, that was the phrase, all indoor.
So we should be wearing masks
except
right now.
Still, yeah, except bars and restaurants. So you still don't have to. I know it's impossible, but it's a loophole. You can't deny it. In the mask wearing idea, bars and restaurants are still exempt. But when is this nonsense going to end? That's my feeling at the moment. We're in this limbo at the moment where we've still got the infection bubbling away. They're threatening that we may have a second peak or a second wave in a couple of weeks' time. We cannot continue to do this, to just put these silly measures in place, because this is just going to go on and on. And the only way out of this that I can see is that they implement a zero COVID strategy, like Scotland, like Northern Ireland, like New Zealand, all of these places that have adopted a zero COVID strategy. So they want to eliminate it completely. There is no way we can return to normal life without doing that. So I don't know what it's going to take the government to realise that we cannot continue to do what they're doing at the moment. There's no clear plan.
My argument is we just about stumbled our way through the first wave, and only just stumbled our way through the first wave. We've had a few weeks or a month to really look at our strategy, because we started opening things up. So if we've been able to if the government had been able to sit down and say, what can we open in this timeline, what can we open at each checkpoint?
Yeah.
Say, why couldn't they sit down and look at what New Zealand had done? Because I've got family in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the way that they have handled, well, not my family aren't in charge in New Zealand. The way the government in New Zealand have handled the first wave was absolutely brilliant. They were out of lockdown way before we were. They have returned to normal life. And I mean, if they get a second wave, then they go back to the strategy that they were using. Why can't we look at why can't Boris, and I will address this to the Prime Minister as I did last week. So hello, Mr. Prime Minister. Why can't you look at your own problems and your own failures and look at everybody else's successes?
Because, I mean, it's not everyone. Not everyone has had successes. I mean,
no.
What we're seeing is in Europe, there is now major problems with the second wave in Spain, in other countries, because they did not eliminate COVID. And so what we're seeing there is going to happen here in a few weeks, which is why they're warning of a second wave. So what we're seeing the evidence here. If you don't eliminate COVID, you are going to get more waves and you're going to have more disruption. Our economy is in such a dire mess that we cannot survive this. We cannot go on for years and years doing this because COVID is going to be around. We need to get rid of it. It's as simple as that.
But what are the European countries not doing that New Zealand and Scotland?
They haven't eliminated COVID. That's it.
But why can't we all sit down, look at New Zealand and say, this is what they have done. They have eliminated COVID-19 or coronavirus or Kung Flu or whatever you want to call it. Why can't we follow suit? We got rid of this. Our economy is bombing. We want to return to normal life. What is the best solution? Oh, we'll go into lockdown 4 weeks late. We'll then lie about it 4 months later. And we'll give everyone 10% off their next McDonald's Happy Meal. Oh, happy days.
There should have been a global cooperation where every single country had the same approach, rather than every single country has taken a slightly different approach. And I think this is the problem. There should have been a global initiative where every country sat down and said, we are going to do this strategy and we're all going to do it. We are all going to eliminate this virus.